So why are we going to talk about budgeting? Looks like money kind of flows through our hands if we're any bit careful at all. Well, the reason I decided this might be a good time to put a budget tool out that you guys can use, and what we're going to do today is demonstrate it. We're going to collect a little data from you to run some numbers through it. Because as you look at expansion, as you look at your rents being negotiated, and they're going to ask for part of your money, as you think the times are so dang good, you should get that new tractor and feed wagon and pickup, you might want to spend a little time with a little spreadsheet and running some simplified budgets and see what the implications are from some of these changes that might be coming. So we had a calf web program that's been used for the last 10, 15 years, where cattle feeders had a simple spreadsheet they could get on the web, plug numbers in, get a break-even cost, use it to help buy, go to their banker, whatever reasons they use them for. I thought it was a nice time to try to get this introduced as a cow web budgeting tool. Start this out, you know the times have changed. They're going to change again. They're not here forever, so we're going to be ready for them. So one of the ways we can get ready for them is to do a better job of planning in our herd. Jory talked about get your records, benchmark. We can also do some budgeting, some partial budgeting. That'll help us be better marketers, it'll help us make better decisions of where we're guiding this business. So these are just some justifications of why we put some effort in developing a spreadsheet. So right now, Carl, would you help me get these passed around? I don't know if this is going to work. Whoa, for sure or not. But to get some numbers to put in our budget, I'm going to see what you guys are thinking about right now a little bit as far as costs. Looks like average herd size is in the C range. That's 100 to 200 cows. So as we go ahead and start putting numbers into the spreadsheet, we'll probably look at, 150 head cow herd. Weaning weights. Just heard that they're kind of trending down a little bit. What are you guys seeing? What kind of weaning weights do you consider to be average at your operation? Looks like about 5 1/4, with quite a range around that, of course. See, most of us kind of underestimate our cow weights, but if we look at it from a cull cow weight standpoint, you've got some sale tickets and they're not the dyers, but your normal opens. Where might they be coming in at? The magical 1,300-pound cows. Here, cost of bulls. I didn't maybe go high enough for what Jory was just talking about.
It's still greater than.
Yeah, they all go in that G category, I guess. But what do you think you'll be spending for bulls in the coming year? Well, find an average in that. We got low-cost producers. A lot of it in that 3,500 to 4,000 range. Doing a balance sheet at the end of the year, getting ready for next year. How do you value your cows on your balance sheet? Do you put them $100 over cull prices? Do you try to ride the market up? Just if we're going to value them here in this little spreadsheet for valuation, what number would you put on them? This is your running age cow herd. Looks like 1,700, it's about the average. How many you cull typically a year? On a percentage basis. 100 cows, you send 10 out, 15 out, for whatever reasons. Typical culling rate, somewhere around 12% probably. These are numbers that you need to run a budget, so that's why I'm getting you to think about them. Weaning rate. This includes your cows that abort, cows that lose calves, cows that don't bring calves back in the fall, for what you recalibrated the herd with that you thought was going to be producers. Looks like maybe about a 92 or 93% would be kind of a typical range. Here's the trickiest question. We kind of know what they were this fall. What, are they going to be as high next year? You can see my bias is showing up here a little bit, that we might have peaked it, but we can vote a lot of ease here. You don't think I'm right? Yeah, everybody's kind of with me on that. Maybe we're looking at that 240 range or something like that. Pasture acres per cow, because this is one thing I think is going to change a little bit. I think people are going to want a little more rent if they think you made too much. So we got to think how many acres it takes and what it costs per acre to rent ground. Grazing systems, part of the state you're from, type of soils all impact this. About 7 acres. But then the follow-up question to that is, what do you pay for those 7 acres? And I'm from out west of Minot, and I'm pretty far east in North Dakota. So I don't know if I got this one calibrated right. I'll learn something here today. $22 range, maybe $20 range. You ever figure out what your winter feed, harvested feed cost going into a cow per year? It's a little bit surprising, but I think that's part of how you become a low-cost producer, is minimize harvested feed expense. Purchased feed would be your tubs and your minerals, $50. Vet cost per cow. See, when you do a budget, you got to put a lot of numbers in. Some of them can be out of your own factual database, your tax records, your production records, and some of them are going to be assumptions. About $25 a cow, and vet, and that's her and her calves, vaccines, treatments, probably PGing and so forth. Investment per cow and facilities. Scratch the cattle part off there. Just the equipment and facilities. $1,000 there. That gets at that depreciation question. Debt per cow, I don't really ask this in that budget, but we can put it in and force it in any way we want, or several ways if we want. Just kind of curious to get some data on that, get a reaction from everybody of where that might fall. Sometimes this debt's kind of hard to separate from a cow and a tractor and a piece of land. If you can allocate it to the cows. Considering the value of the cows, it's not looking too bad. Total cost. He just showed you what an average total cost was on herds. Have you got a total cost on your cows? I think that's what he told us. It was right there around $700. 2013 data. Break-even selling price. We think they're going to be worth around $240. I think it's going to cost you about $700 to run a cow. Then you're going to have some break-even price that falls out of that. And we'll calculate that in the spreadsheet. A little less than $2, or around $2 a pound. Now, that's it. That's it for the data. I threw in a few slides here that Steve Metzger shared with a group of young ranchers at a business school that we had this summer. And I think I just wanted to show that most of these costs are rising and there's differences between operations. He brought forth his benchmarks, which he told the young producers they need to be striving for as benchmarks in their operations. We'll kind of fly through them. Jory did cover some of them as he talked about his perspective on those. And I think what now we want to get to is show you what this spreadsheet looks like, plug these numbers in we've kind of gathered, and tell you this is available to all of you. It will be on the web. It's not there now. It's an Excel spreadsheet that'll be available off the web too, but we'll have just an interactive one where you won't even have to have Excel on your computer to just go to the web page and throw the numbers in. This is what the spreadsheet looks like. It has got an input page and then an output page. So we'll just, in the next 10 minutes or so, scroll through there with some of the numbers so we can see just kind of how it works. We said that typical herd was about 150 cows. We cull a little over 10% of them, so let's say we cull 17 cows a year. Let's, for the time being, not even deal with replacement cattle. And then we can come back and pick an option to either save our own heifers or to buy some heifers. How many cows would die a year in a 150 cow herd? Maybe 2. How many calves are we going to produce out of that 150? Well, we're going to get about a 92 or 3% calf crop by your guys' average polling. So we would probably have about 71 heifer calves, and we would have, assuming random split, same number of steer calves. How many bulls would we need to breed those 150 cows? 6? Okay. How many bulls would we typically replace a year? Sell 2, buy 2. And we're not keeping any heifers for replacement at this point. So our herd's going to get a little smaller, isn't it? We said we thought the calf prices would be around $240 average. So we want to make that $230 for heifers and $250 for steers. That'd be an average of $240. Didn't ask what a cull cow price might be next year. Got an expectation for that, anybody? Leave it at maybe at $1.10. $1.20 is up there. That's good. Okay. Bulls, $1.35. Our value of our cows, probably we didn't value them quite this high when we polled people. $1,700. If our average number was $525, we had 500-pound heifers, 550-pound steers. Cull cows were $1,300. Cull bulls maybe $1,800. $1,600. Okay, we've got our inventory accounted for and our production. Now, on pastures, we have the option of putting in all our pasture units and putting in what we pay for rent on those units and the number of acres in them. Here, we said that we were going to run around 7 acres per cow. We could probably just put in one pasture for illustration purposes, and I can just zero a bunch of these other ones out. But if you were doing your own and it was easier to keep track of this way, you'd probably list them individually. So we need about 1,100 acres, and I think our price was somewhere in the low 20s, 23, 24, $24. There it says what our pasture bill is going to be for the year. Our acres per cow, I got it just a little over 7. It was a nice round number. Now, our feedstuffs. We've got 150 cows. We're going to feed some alfalfa hay. How many bales of alfalfa would it take? How many bales of hay is it going to take to winter these cows? 6 bales times 150 cows, we need 900 bales, right? Okay, let's split that up and say we're going to have 200 bales of alfalfa, 700 bales of grass hay. We can put silage and we can put grain and we can put byproducts, however we want to do it, but we're keeping it a little bit simple. What's a bale of alfalfa hay sell for? $60?
There's an organic sign for 65.
You can do organic too, I suppose.
Could be organic, I don't know. I just saw that number. Just like that. Yeah.
How about a grass bale of hay? Well, if you were selling some of your neighbors, what would you want for it? 40? Do we put up any bedding? How many bales of bedding do these 150 cows need? You want a bale per cow? We're not going to feed them any silage. This is a different kind of operation. You can easily put these numbers in if you load this up and want to play with it. We're not going to feed any grain, but we are going to feed some minerals in tubs, or some of them supplements. We figured it was about, yep.
Are you doing that by bale or ton?
It doesn't matter. I'm doing a quantity times a price. And most of us don't know our tonnage very well, but we know our bale count. So I just threw it out as bales. But it won't matter as long as you got, if you price it by ton, you put tons in. If you price it by bale, put bales in. Okay? But we say we're about $50 on these other feeds. What's 50 times 150 cows? $750? No. 7,000. 50, 0, 0, $7,500, yeah. So that's not, that's as a one, we do that feed as a one lump sum. Veterinary per herd, we go to the Schedule F, we see what we spent to the vet last year. We said it's going to run around $20-some when we polled people, so let's say $3,700. Supplies, I don't know, that can be anything. Let's just put some ear tags and stuff in there. Fuel, keep track of fuel. If you look over there, there's a typical rate from the Adult Farm Management Program. Most operations are spending $28 to $33 on fuel per cow. So if we don't know it and we can't go to our own records, we could maybe proxy it and try to put a number in there that comes up within a normal range. I put 5,000, that's what comes. Repairs, we might do about the same thing. Interest, that'll vary. This is your operating interest. Some people don't have any. Some have fairly substantial amounts. Other expenses, some people put AI in here. If they're doing that, you can use this as a catch-all for any other expense. We might just put 0 until we think of something that we haven't thought of. Hired labor. There's a couple ways to do this here. If you actually got somebody on the payroll and you're paying them, and you know how much that's allocated to the cow, or you're hiring for certain jobs, processing days or something, you can put that in here. I kind of like to think that we're going to pay ourselves and not do it for nothing, Jory. So maybe we should put whatever we think we want to make. How much would you want to get to take care of my cow for a year? Would you want $150? Would you want $100? It's going to come out of the bottom line anyway. We'll hope it's enough there to cover it, but we can at least try to pay ourselves. If you figure a cow takes 7, 8, 9 hours per cow a year, and we want 15 bucks an hour, we should put at least 100 in there, shouldn't we? So we got 150 cows. We're going to put a labor cost on this herd of $15,000. A little high maybe. We'll see if these cows will pay it. That's pretty much the simplicity of what we put in. Oh, we've got a couple more expenses. I don't know if any of you keep track of your insurances, your utility bills, but the cow's got to pay parts of those. And I'll probably just put some numbers in here that are pretty comparable to get me in the average rate. Miscellaneous, I can't remember when the last time we ran this, what he was using that one for. It's another overhead cost that just is a place to put something. Well, in this loan payments, if you've got your depreciation figured out for your equipment, you can put depreciation in there. This is kind of a modified cash flow budget. And what I was thinking is, say you want to buy that tractor, and you go in and you figure out what the difference is to trade your old one, and you figure out that John Deere Finance is going to give you 6 payments on it, and those payments are going to be every fall $9,000. We could put that in here. Or if you got an existing payment that you want to make sure the cows are covering. So let's put that we are going to buy something, and that's what the payment will be. Now we can go over and take a look at what those numbers summarize like and what our cost of production is. Our culls that we sold brought us $176 back per cow. Our bulls brought us $30, our cull bulls, but then we ended up taking money away from our cows because we bought some new bulls. Our calves brought us $1,300 a piece. We go down the income side. Our grazing costs are $176 per cow. That's our pasture rents. Our winter feed costs are $341, and I think when we surveyed people, they thought they were more like $250. So somehow or another, we're overfeeding these cows, or we sometimes underestimate our feed cost. Then we get down here, vet, fuel, utilities, trucking supplies, yada yada. Paid labor, $100 a cow. That's pretty high. It's way over the average what people, because most people see if there's anything left and then pay themselves. We're doing it just a little different today. Total direct cost $219. Net profit $556.77, $83,000 for this herd with those inputs. Wait a minute. Income comes in 2 forms. It comes in either growth in inventory or asset value and cash, but we've liquidated some cows to get that $83,000, so we actually have a net worth of $51,000 profit. It's not quite that good, because if we have to replace those whatever number of cows we sold, it's going to take some money to do that. But nonetheless, this cash flows very nicely. If we just did this, our herd would be a little smaller next year, but we'd live all right. So this is what this tool is for. Now we can go back in, if we would choose to, and say, let's buy $2,800 heifers and run that through and see how it all shakes out. Will that work? And you can do all the little ifs and ands and just flipping between the input and output page and finding the right deal, changing the number. So hopefully this is something you can use to plan ahead how you want to steer the business going forward.
Where does like hay grinding and that go in?
Well, you can put it in the cost of your hay if you want to. This is kind of simplified, so you might have to kind of figure out how to incorporate some things. Or you can go down to that miscellaneous direct expense and say, I'm putting those kind of costs in there.
So your net profit with the inventory change also includes you paying yourself $100
Yep,
for them
yep,
too. So.
yep.
I have one last question. Can you change that to include replacements so your cow herd stays the same?
That's what I was
Let's
gonna
let's redo it.
Yeah.
Same numbers, but how many cows did we decrease in our inventory here?
So we'll go back to the input side.
Go ahead.
We had 2 die. We sold some. So over here we got 19 cows going out. Let's take 19 away from 71. So we got 52 heifer calves to sell. Okay? That means we had to keep, where's this, heifer replacements
Two more down.
raised. We had to keep 19 heifer calves. And we're going to go up here and say raised replacements. These are the breds. Okay? What else might change if we keep some heifers here? We kind of bare bones put the feed in. We didn't put any grain in. We got to account for a little feed for the heifer pen. So what do we do for that? Well, we probably need another 60 bales in here some way. You guys give your heifers a little bit of grain? 5 bushels of heifer, 6 bushels, 10 bushels of heifer? We might need a few bushels of grain. And I don't know, let's just call grain $3.
For those of you that wanted to go see the white mold management in soybeans, you can go, or the Fair Rent software. Stu Metzger's gonna, what does it tell you for 2015? Or corn silage and siling, you can leave so you're not late. But I think it's kind of interesting when you get down to the output here, just how much money we did or didn't make, John.
We're not making as much money in the pure cash side, but when we look at our net worth change, we're actually doing a little better. So, we were able to raise those heifers and replace them. It looks like a reasonable rate. The next step you do is probably put in some $2,800, $3,000 breads and see how that goes. And I'm pretty sure that will tip it a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's no different than paying yourself $100. Whether you pay yourself $100 if you're the owner operator, or you put it on your balance sheet.
Right.
Whether you put it on the income side,
Right.
put it on your balance sheet. So.
Right.
I think if you're going to keep 20 heifers a year, you probably want to take your heifer sales rate down, because invariably
We keep the bigger ones?
20
Yeah.
heifers, 20.
Yeah, we probably would tweak that too.